From a recent retiree's perspective, what are some of the things that led them to a successful retirement? What are a couple of the things that they say were mistakes? We've got that learning and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. As often as I can, I try to learn from the experiences of others, whether that is successes. Oh gosh, I like that result. I'd love to have that result someday. What are the things the habits that they did that led to those? But also, so the successes, but also the mistakes and the failures. I was lucky enough to have a great older brother growing up, but I was observant, and the times when he got in trouble or made some mistakes were that's not the result I would want. What are the things that led to that? Yep, I'm not gonna do that. Well, the same applies to finances, and you got to be careful. I've talked about this all the time. You don't want to play the compare game. When you compare your financial situation to someone else's, then you start, then jealousy creeps in, envy creeps in, and you start looking and saying, well, why do they have that and I don't? Or they just did that, I should as well. You have no idea the depth of the uniqueness of your financial situation compared to someone else's. Yeah, someone that grew up in the same household, maybe a coworker that you just assume, yeah, we probably have had similar careers, similar income. Your neighbor, oh, we have similar houses. And so you have no idea of the underpinning uniqueness that has created a vast difference in your financial situation. Yet still, doesn't mean, well, even though you shouldn't compare, doesn't mean that there isn't some learning. Well, I'm seeing this result. What are the actions that led to that? That's why we believe so strongly in having a guide, someone that has gone before you, that has seen this before. A financial planner, certified financial planner, is that guide. We've retired thousands of times, not us personally, but we've helped clients through that. We've seen the things that they've done well and the patterns of clients that, oh, well, they applied this and they're having success, and so did they, and so did they. They didn't apply it, they're not having success. We've seen those things and can pass along those learnings to our clients. That's one of the reasons why this article stood out to me so much. This is a recent Wall Street Journal article. I'm going to link it below. Hopefully you can check it out. But it's chronicling the successes and a couple mistakes from a recent retired couple. They've been retired for a couple of years. But it's not just anyone's. This is actually a former editor of the Wall Street Journal. And he, in this article, lays it out where, hey, this is my perspective of how it's going so far, the things that we've done well, and he shares a couple mistakes. And then she shares as well from her perspective. Even has her kind of Wall Street Journal typical kind of caricature of her picture. And here's what I think we've done well. Here are some of the mistakes that we've made. It doesn't look like there's any agenda or angle to this. It just seems pretty organic. And guys, as a certified financial planner on a team of some of the best CFPs that you'll ever find, their experience, sort of the things that they've done well, that they say, yeah, I think this has helped us have a successful retirement, lines up with what we've seen as well. So in no particular order, what are some of the highlights that I draw out of this article? Let me share them with you. First, and they both mentioned it, and I would say this is foundational, they both shared that their early good financial decisions helped pave the way for them to have a successful retirement. Both of them shared this. I'm going to read an excerpt from her, but they lived below their means, well below their means. They were frugal, putting in their own terms. They saved for retirement early. They said in their 20s, and they did so automatically, so those contributions just continued for decades and decades. So this is what Karen wrote. From the start, we saved first, spent later, and little. Some colleagues were eating out, buying upscale clothes and new cars on credit. We weren't happy though, unless our bank balance was growing. So we stuck with our old vehicle and Friday night at the movies. One exception we spent on travel, and I'm going to come back to this, but even shares this next sentence. We lived largely on my $9,700 annual teacher salary when we were married. So what can we draw out of that? Okay, so they lived below their means. And we don't know if they were working on a strict budget or if they were just doing so organically. But one of the hacks, if you will, or tips that we've often recommended. I remember as just getting out of college and newly married, this approach being shared with me: live on one income. Just live on one income and save the rest. And yes, decades and decades earlier, they were able to do that, just living on one income, and they saved the rest. Also, part of this, they say that they did save for retirement early in their 20s, and they did so automatically and just sort of let it ride. She also is saying that they got their measure of accomplishment, financial achievement, by seeing their bank account balance grow. I'm not sure if she actually means their bank account or if she means their retirement account, their overall net worth. That's what we would look at. To us, it's not just that your bank account balance grows, it'd be that your overall wealth is growing. They lived below their means early on, and I mean early, and lived on one income and saved for their future automatically. She mentions that they picked the right spouse, of course. Kudos to him, because he said, yes, I agree with that. Here's the takeaway there, is that they were in alignment. They were in financial sync together. And yes, we have seen this as well, that when a couple is trying to make progress financially, but one is making decisions that's sort of pulling them one direction, and the other then starts making decisions pulling them in another direction, are you able to move forward if you're each pulling in opposite directions? No. So wherever you think you are right now in finances, they create a lot of friction in relationships. Get on the same page. But getting in sync financially with your spouse, they attribute that as one of the things that they got right to lead to a successful retirement. Third, he mentions, and he says it differently, okay, but I'm gonna rephrase it to proactively plan for health insurance in retirement. What he said is that near where they lived, there was a hospital, a health system that they wanted to make sure they still had access to when they retired. And so they planned appropriately and were able to do so even when they transitioned onto Medicare, still have access to this local community health system. And I would just rephrase that. While that's unique to their situation and where they live and the hospital system near them, I'm going to say what they actually did, the tangible stuff that you and I can take away, is they planned ahead proactively about that big health insurance decision that they made when they retired. Whether that's right at 65 or a little bit after or a little bit before, deciding what type of Medicare you're going to take is one of the biggest health insurance decisions of your life. Whether you're going to go traditional Medicare, A, B, D, and a supplement, and then which supplement plan and what's offered and where and what the costs are, or whether you're going to go with Medicare Advantage, which is Part A, and you pay for Part B, but you go with Part C, which is actually going through a private health insurance company. Whichever one, you're going to want to talk to a health insurance expert to say, all right, well, these are my doctors, these are the prescriptions, here's how I envision maybe my health changing over time, and this is what's important to me with my coverage. And you're going to want to make that decision about your health insurance in retirement, what approach you take with Medicare. You want to make that decision with as much information as possible. And they certainly they appeared to do that and said that was one of the benefits, one of their strengths as it comes to their early experience in retirement. Fourth, now back to the travel piece that she mentioned. Apparently, for them, they value travel. And so one of the things that they said they did well in retirement is earmark specific dollars for travel. We've talked about this before, just did a video on it, that in retirement, you're still going to want to have that 3 bank account system that we preach and recommend. That's the foundation of your cash flow management, even in retirement. That second bucket is where you are setting dollars aside for known upcoming expenses. In retirement, a lot of this could be travel. Hey, once a quarter, we've got a big trip. Or once a quarter, we've got a trip. It's going to alternate between a small weekend getaway and then a week-long getaway or something like that. And so identifying, well, is that a priority to you? Financially, how much will it cost? And then sync that up with how much can we afford within our finances, and then setting the money aside so that you can do so, you can enjoy that travel or whatever it is for you with great peace of mind and with very little financial friction. And then fifth, and he talks about this a lot, finding a purpose in retirement. She talks about it as well, but are you retiring to something or away from something? To something or away from something? And to each their own, but for the folks that we've seen enter retirement with joy and excitement and have a fulfilling retirement, they're retiring to something. They often look back and say, I don't know how I ever found time to work, because they've got different hobbies, they've got different activities, different things that have meaning to them that they're able to incorporate into their life. What's your hobby? What's your purpose going to be in retirement? What will enrich your life in retirement? Identifying that and actually building that into your life prior to retirement can go a long way and your feelings of success in retirement. All right, there's more to it, but those are a handful of the things that they said they did well. Now, they really only specified a couple things that they said were mistakes. One, they live in San Francisco, and he said they stayed too long in their house. Obviously, the housing market in San Francisco is, wild and volatile. And they stayed too long in an older house, and then all of a sudden it really appreciated in value, and they said, oh, this was a mistake. It's turned into a benefit, and then it went back to a mistake. So big housing decision, you're going to want to work with your CFP on that in retirement so that doesn't become a mistake. But guys, one of the other things that stood out to me that they mentioned was a mistake, something we talk about with you all the time. And they said, and certainly as a editor for the Wall Street Journal, he just assumed their finances were all situated. One of the mistakes was that they didn't work with a financial planner earlier. I've shared with you, this is the most common phrase heard in our offices from new clients. I wish I would have started sooner. And unfortunately, they've got that regret as well. Now, it seems like they're on a good path, but he states that they first started working with a certified financial planner in a year before they decided to make the leap into retirement. And he said they should have done that far sooner, even decades earlier. And I would agree. Missing out on maybe some of the intentional steps. Yes, they were living within their means and they were saving up. Were they saving the right amount? Were they saving into the right accounts? Were they disciplined with their investment structure? Did they, what are some of the opportunities, financial planning opportunities that maybe they missed out on, that they captured late in life, but they could have captured much earlier? Waiting too long to work with that certified financial planner. Possibly, they could have retired even sooner and had a more enjoyable retirement or less stressful end of their career as well. So I hope that helps you on your path towards achieving a successful retirement, but I would leave you with work with your certified financial planner. And if you don't have one, learn from their mistake of we waited too long. Work with a certified financial planner, okay, and one that's doing comprehensive financial planning, looking at all 6 areas of your financial life and specifically to this in retirement, building out that 5-factor retirement plan to help you plan appropriately. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.